Work 1, Oren O'Reilly. Title, Football. Print, 2007. Appearing from the void-like background, this multi-material orb comes protruding forward, encompassing an intrusive manner. The subject's relativity to the space in which it exists predominantly unearths the globe shape in its empty universe. Brightly coloured patches in an assortment of materials cover the traditionally black and white stitched football, evoking the tendency of the 3D object trapped in the format of a two-dimensional world. The diverse use of material elements question what we receive as a normal football in our assumption of aesthetic analysis, compared to what we are being shown. The now altered materialisation within the subject still conclude to be a football within the contours of what we determine as a football when analysing the form of the product as opposed to the function with its now new material makeup. The shape of the object reflects what we have preconceived as a football in the criteria of what reflects as form, but the framework of what marks as existing matter has been altered, leading to the question what makes a subject at all in the void of what is and what is initially conceived. Please move on. Work 2, John Plowman. Untitled. Wooden Structure, 2010. This work, part of a collection of wooden elongated tetrahedrons, was made in response to an exhibition within the grounds of Cork Abbey, Derbyshire. Representing the building's once eccentric owners and hoarders, this piece was created to belong in a context that opposed preconceived rules of established hierarchies displaced in a world of rules and belonging. On the face of the monumental belonging to the non-belonging party, we see that within the grounds of the site-specific in particular, a work may hold the control of the subject matter in regards to its placement of its physical being in spatial comparisons. The passage of time within a subject can only be explored when in true situation of the situated party, regarding why and where the subject matter may have been created and to what extent of that reality can be missed, when the subject is in an imposed situation through the preconceived identity of the belonging placement. Although the solidarity of the piece can confirm a notion of stability, it questions the whereabouts of craftsmanship in its once ordained situation as opposed to the contemporary situation of the now, a weakening in the structure of the unseen, or what is still noticeably conceivable to the eye, what once is, and what was could be. The elements of what works past situation shows no real trace of age, but the belonging of an uncontrollable subjectivity to change. Please move on. Work 3, Michael Lent. Untitled. Mixed Media, 2010. These 4 works reveal an approach to space, movement and theoretical transitions of geographical identities, reflecting through intermedia in an attempt to convey the knowing and knowledgeable places of refracting identity within formal elements such as line and shape. The process of identity reveals the panatellarian madamismness of the macabre, allowing the entry of the paradox inside the glass-enclosed object to inflict upon the matter of the momentary existence. To further explain that paradox is the manogram of magnophobia, thus increasing in expectant tendencies that override traditional epistemologies, obnoxions that lay prior, or in some cases predated, of conceptual theories of challenging notions in the intersection of experience and concept. The congruent history of technology as a tool plays a key role in this work by order of the power of colour, questioning the spatial awareness within a doctrine of beings and transient order. Documentation of ephemeral instances are key to this exploration of such space within an anti-fixture avoided of a counterpart. Approaching these 4 works with subjectivity via anti-subjectivity, spatial limitations and the concept of colour and line, the work reapproaches the unapproached form of traditional media within the panatellarian obnoxion of conceptual traditions. Please move on. Work 4, Louise K. Wilson, Wonderonaut. Paper-filled steel capsule, 1997. Coinciding with the first moon landing, the steel capsule holds the entire Apollo 11 flight transcript. When introduced to the mass of the unseen, one cannot judge, nor can they prejudge the unconventional and unconceivable texts of the parody that went before them. If the dialogue of the unseen residency within the unconsciousness holds no boundaries, then the element of a capsule can identify the transcript through the digital age of visualization. Manifesting in the everlasting paranoia, the audience may feel detached to the contemporary visualization and, although no boundaries should be constructed in the misapprehension of the transient, one can conclude that the direction of language in representation has shifted. Referencing the macropolydoctomist, the capsule's relevance of eras prior to this one, in some cases, becomes decomplicated. As language is degenerated and then regenerated, the circumvallation of space occupies what was once challenged by the formalities received by an unsung, unorchestrated phenomenon. Within the enigmatic purpose-built capsule, the developmental stage of the reflecting audience hereby announces the disused miscommunication in relative reflection, as opposed to the concluded direction of language in the regenerated circumvallation. Please move on. Work 5. Andrew Bracey. Untitled. Paper. 2010. When at first encountering this piece we see significant representation of propaganda diverted under the precision and decorative ambience of an outer representational subject. The boundaries of what was and what is are blurred upon aesthetic relevance to the dialogue we see underneath the now modified counterpart of the sub-organized subject. The original subject matter was found at an auction and has been modernized in an attempt to blur the visual image of the abstract formalities in comparison with a linear dialogue signified below the initial image. Reflecting on abstract beauty, in the opposed framework this segmented depiction of a subordinate reality coexisting outside its predetermined framework inherits and questions the essential values of what we are looking at. When encountering the ever-transient and subtle formalities behind the ongoing process of the anti-affixture, prevailment with the unconscious of preconceived texts around the parification stage of the individual subjectivity to the subject matter. Although no boundaries should be constructed in the misapprehension of the transient, one can conclude that direction of language in representation has been laid subject to the individual through mismatched communication of the senses and the relevance to the dialogue at hand within the visual message that has been purposely altered.